Hi, and welcome back. So, our final module is about relationships with other people during your divorce. Depending on what religious background you're on and what your family thinks about your separation and your divorce, you can get pulled in very many different ways. Some religions are totally against divorce, some families are very against divorce. They might not understand why you're doing it. They may be very much on the other person's side and not on your side. Same with friends as well. The friends can feel that they're pulled between you and your ex. They might not understand where you're coming from, and that's okay. This is your life, and you're going to have to make this decision. I'm sure you would have thought about this decision for a long time if you decided that you were going to be making the divorce, or if the other person has decided to divorce and you have no control over it. The feedback you're going to get from family and friends may not always be helpful, may not always be beneficial. So, and also you may be kind of surprised as to who's really there for you and who isn't. And there can be a lot of hurt and pain that goes through that too. People that you thought might have been on your side and might have understood, and they're not, or they take the other person's side, or they're just not as available for you as you would have wanted them to be. You might need a lot of support during this time, and they're just not able to for whatever reason. They might have lots of stuff going on in their lives. Things might not be so rosy on their side. Maybe things that are happening to you are hitting hard for them because maybe secretly they think you're doing the same thing on their end. They may not agree with you, depending on the relationship you already had with your parents or with your siblings. Different things can get accentuated. The way they talk to you may not be what you need right now. What you probably need mostly is someone just to listen to you, and they may be coming up with solutions and trying to resolve things, and that's not what you want. And that's why sometimes you'll need to reach out to someone else externally, a counselor, a coach, um, maybe even a friend that you didn't even know as well beforehand. Become someone who's a closer confidant, especially if it's someone outside of your couple friendships. You might just need someone different to who you usually would go to talk to, because what you really need is someone who's going to just listen and not necessarily come up with ideas or put you into a box. And the thing is that as you're going through your divorce and your separation, you're starting to rediscover who you are. And if you allow yourself that space and give yourself that time to heal and spend that time with yourself and become your own best friend, you might start to change. And your family and your friends may not like that. They're used to you being a certain way. They feel comfortable with you being a certain way, and they don't want you to change. They don't know how to accept this new you. And they may try to stop you. So you have to be very aware of that happening too. They might not even realize what they're doing themselves. And sometimes you don't realize it until a bit later. So you need to kind of be aware of that. And that's why it's good to expand your circle. And you might need to find a new tribe of people who really understand what you're going through. So that can be through, meetup groups of people who've already gone through separation or divorce, Facebook groups like I have of people who've gone through that who can support you. Hopefully, sometimes in those Facebook groups, so you find people are still stuck and who are still negative. So you have to be careful with that as well. You kind of want to talk to people who've been through it and gotten out the other side already, who can show you that there is hope at the end of the tunnel, that there is a better place to get to, and that even though it's difficult right now, all be okay afterwards. And I think it's important to talk to people who are more in that positive mindset afterwards. They can bring a lot of good hope and influence on you, and more positive influence on you. Also, be very careful what you say to some of your friends, because you don't really know where it's going to go. I've found situations with people who, their best friends are actually passing on information to their ex, thinking that they're helping, or maybe they just didn't realize what kind of friend they really were, or maybe, they had a relationship with your ex that you didn't realize. So just be careful who you trust during this time and what you share. That's why it is also sometimes good just to have a counselor, coach, or someone you can talk to about it, that you could just be super open about your emotions and feelings. Because sometimes friends think that they're helping and they're not. Or maybe your ex has charmed them into thinking that it's all your fault that they're leaving, and they're trying to wrangle some information out of them. And they can find that especially with exes who are narcissistic and who are maybe emotionally and physically abusive, they might have charmed some of your family members or some of your friends into thinking that it's your fault and that they're trying to manipulate people to get you to come back to them because they want to control you again. And so they may be getting information from them that you don't realize is getting passed on. Just be careful, and also be careful about what the children are hearing and what they might be passing on without realizing. Your ex may be controlling the children too and asking them a lot of questions, and the children don't know how to respond, or they don't want to look like they're taking sides, or they don't want to let the other person down, so they share it. And sometimes young children don't realize, that they're sharing something that they shouldn't be because they've heard it and just pass it on. And they're totally innocently giving something away. So just be super careful and aware of that. Um, and it's okay if you start coming into yourself and you start blooming yourself. You may need to just protect yourself from people that you thought would have had your interests most at heart. In fact, they're having their own interests most at heart. So just take that time to think about things. Be aware of what's happening, what people are saying to you, and how you feel around them after being with them. After leaving them and talking to them, how did you feel afterwards? Do you feel better? Do you feel worse? And that'll help you and trust your gut a little bit too. There's two things to be aware of. There's the fear thing, which you can mistake, versus your gut. And so you're going to have to start to learn which one's different. Are you doing things because you think that's what your gut's saying, in fact, it's out of fear, or are you actually really listening to yourself? So you might think about mindfulness, a bit of meditation to get more in touch with that as well. And just remember that during this time, you are your own best friend. And be super kind to yourself, very patient with yourself. You may have been super good at everything. You may have been able to handle so many things. You're great at work. You got great professional thing. You're managing the family, the relationships, the work, the friends, and you were like all had it going on. And now it's all crashing around you. And you're like, oh my God, I was able to be super duper A class, and now I just can't seem to get it together. That's okay. As I said beforehand, this is one of the most difficult times you'll ever experience in your life, and just gonna kind of be really good to yourself during this time. And it's just a moment in your life. It's 1 to 3 years of what, 80 years of life, right? um, it will pass. You will get through this. Think of it like maybe high school when you do all the exams, right? And you hated exams and you got through it and all that. And you got through it and you went on to college or high school or university or whatever it was. Or think of it as time in university. Maybe you were super duper busy and crazy at university and things were really tough for you and all the exams. But then at the end, you got out of it, right? So it's just the same here. It's just a moment in your time, in time, which may not be the nicest. So just try to remember what you did during the difficult times in high school or in university when things were tough, exams were up. What did you do to treat yourself during that time? What did you do to help yourself during that time? And just put little things in place for yourself through this. Get a tribe together, get a support system together. Know that the children will get through it as well. They might go through some ups and downs during this time. It's only normal. But everyone will settle down eventually. You'll get into the new normal, into the new routine, and into your new life, and life will carry on. So just be good to yourself. Don't turn to substances. Don't turn to alcohol. They will not help you. They will just make it worse. Just try to put in as much healthy stuff as you can into your life. Try to be good to yourself. Try to get a good routine going with you and the children. Focus on continuing to build connection with your children throughout this time. Focus on special family time together, just you and your children. Sometimes you're going to have to say no as well to family and friends for certain events. Your parents may have high expectations that you're going to be there on a certain weekend, and the children will be there on a certain weekend, and the children, that's the weekend they're with your ex. And you might decide that you're not going to negotiate with your ex to have the children that weekend because it's just too difficult for you. Or you might say, you know what, I really need that time to myself that weekend. I'm sorry if I'm not going to be there, I will see you on this date instead. But that weekend when I don't have the children, I just really need some space to myself, especially if being with your family doesn't bring out the best in you, or they don't make you feel really good. If you need to protect yourself by having some time to yourself, You might just have to say, no, I'm sorry, I'm just not available that weekend. No, I'm sorry, the children are with their ex that weekend. No, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to be with you for Easter because children are with my ex that Easter. And, it's important for him. And that's what we've agreed. So, no, we'll celebrate with you another day. Let's just do Easter dinner on the Monday instead of the Sunday. And they're going to have to learn that things aren't going to be the same as they were beforehand. And you might be like, I'm sorry, we can't actually make the Christmas dinner because the children are with my ex, or because I will have just gotten the children back from my ex. And we really want to spend that Christmas dinner just together because you need that time to reconnect with them, right? And the children need that time to reconnect with you. And whenever you're with your family, maybe you're not able to reconnect with your children because you're pulled in different things with your family. So you're going to have to think about what's really best for you and your children and prioritize that. Your family's going to have to learn to adapt to the fact that your life has changed and the way things used to happen in the wider family may not be able to happen the same way anymore. And they're going to have to get some time to adjust to that. Good to keep your boundaries up. The same with some friends too. You might be like, sorry, we can't see that weekend. Children are with their dad or their mom, and we won't be able to get to that. If it's a birthday party and you think that's really important, you might agree as part of your family plan that for certain key friends, that if it's their birthday or there's a special event happening for them that weekend, that your ex will agree that they spend it with their really close best friend. They can't miss their best friend's birthday. So you'll try to agree those things as if it was a family member in your parenting plan. So, don't worry. There'll be lots of ups and downs and ups and changes and differences and changes, not just for you and your ex and your children, but the wider family and your wider friends as well. You're going to have to get used to it. They may pull you in different directions, and you're going to have to stand firm and spend a lot of time every day. At the end of the day, go back through everything and go, okay, how did the day go today? What would I have done differently? What's coming up for tomorrow? How am I going to handle that for tomorrow? And where is it going in the direction that I want? And what small little change can I make that I'm able to make today to push it a little bit more gently in the direction that I want it to go? Don't put yourself down too hard. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Tiny little changes, slowly moving the rudder in the direction that you really want to go. And a small little change every day is actually really, really powerful. You don't even realize how much those little small changes add up. So you go really quickly, suddenly in the direction of where you really want to go. I hope that has helped you, and I'll just give a little summary in the next chapter about what we've covered in this course.